Boom 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 boom.
Okay, picture this for a moment. You're in London. You're looking up at the Battersea Power Station, right? Those huge towers, over 100 meters high.
Iconic, really distinctive shape.
Totally. And then suddenly, Wallace and Gromit just spring to life. A giant animation playing out right there on the building.
It sounds, yeah, almost like a dream sequence or something, a massive projection.
Exactly. And, well, here's the kicker, the truly amazing part. This whole thing, this huge spectacle, was filmed entirely using an iPhone.
Just the phone. Incredible.
So welcome to this deep dive. We've got some great sources, including insights from the director himself, Gavin Strange. We're going behind the scenes on this Wallace and Gromit shot an iPhone project.
Yeah, our sources really dig into how it all came together. It's this fascinating mix, isn't it? Old school art, stop motion, meeting, cutting edge phone tech.
Absolutely. And our mission today is to pull out the really interesting bits for you, the striking details. How do these characters we know so well, made by hand,
Right. Tiny little figures.
end up being captured on a phone
Yeah.
and then blown up onto this, well, colossal canvas, a 100-meter power station tower? Okay, let's get into it.
Well, you start with the stop motion, the traditional craft.
Yeah.
But the stage, as you said, was anything but traditional.
Probably not a studio set.
No, the London skyline itself, specifically those very tall, very narrow Battersea Towers. That was the screen.
That just seems like such a massive challenge, the scale of it. How do you even begin to think about animating for something that huge and, well, uniquely shaped?
That was the number one problem right from the start. The sheer scale. They had to design everything, even the first drawings, thinking about that tall, thin format.
So every single frame had to work visually.
Exactly. It needed to make sense up close, if you were near the animation model, but also be clear and readable from way back, projected onto that enormous surface.
Wow. Okay, that's a real head-scratcher from a design perspective.
It's
How did
bad.
they test it? You can't just, project it onto the office wall to check.
Well, this is where the tech gets really interesting. To actually get a feel for that scale before animating, the director, Gavin, he used an Apple Vision Pro.
The headset? Really?
Yeah, he apparently made a virtual model of the towers, right outside his office window in their headset, so they could actually preview how the animation would look virtually on the real scale.
So like a digital rehearsal. That's clever.
A virtual reality check for a massive physical projection. Pretty neat.
Okay, so they figured out the visualization. What about the actual physical stuff? The sets, the props? They couldn't just be standard Wallace and Gromit sets, could they, given that tall, narrow frame?
No, absolutely not. Everything had to be custom. The set details were really special, all designed to fit that specific projection area, like the trees, for instance.
Trees?
Yeah, they designed 2 brand new ones just for this. Tall, slender trees. One was, traditionally Christmassy,
Okay.
and the other was very Wallace. Totally over the top, decorated with his latest invention, the Decor 8000.
Decor 8000. That sounds perfect. Was
Yeah.
it just like a static prop?
Oh, no, not at all. It was described as a proper engineering marvel. Looked like a gift box, but inside,
Go on.
a working scissor lift, and a mechanism that actually launched the little decorating balls onto the tree.
That's amazing. Proper Wallace contraption.
Totally. And, speaking of details, there was this really sweet touch, too. The team wrote the names of their kids, their pets, on the tiny gift tags hanging on those trees.
Oh, that's lovely. Like little hidden messages.
Yeah, adds a real warmth, doesn't it, amidst all the tech and scale?
It really does.
Huh.
Any other subtle details like that? Things designed for the space.
Well, yeah, to handle the fact the film looped continuously
Yeah.
and to kind of blend it with the building, they made these metal curtains, riveted metal with Apple logos on them.
Okay.
But they were designed specifically to look like the texture and shape of the Battersea Towers themselves, so it all visually tied together.
The level of thought there is incredible. Every element considered.
It seems so.
Right, but let's get to maybe the most surprising part, capturing all this intricate work. Because this is where the iPhone steps in as the main camera, right?
It is, and it's arguably the headline fact for many people. All the stop-motion filming done on an iPhone 15 Pro Max.
Just the phone. But the resolution they were aiming for was huge.
Mind-boggling, yeah. The target was 6K by 6K.
6,000 by 6,000 pixels. That's, what is that, like 36 million pixels? Way beyond typical 4K.
Roughly, yeah. It's massive. Which leads to the obvious question, right?
Why? Why go for such an insanely high resolution, especially when you're projecting onto, let's be honest, bricks and mortar, not a cinema screen?
It was all about maintaining clarity at that colossal scale. They needed that extreme resolution so the image wouldn't fall apart, wouldn't look distorted or blurry when blown up to 100 meters tall.
Ah, I see. So even tiny flaws in the source would become huge on the tower.
Precisely. Any softness or pixelation would be immediately obvious from a distance. It had to be incredibly crisp.
Okay, that makes sense. But why the iPhone specifically? I mean, you use high-res cinema cameras. What did the phone offer them?
A couple of key things, actually, strategically. First, the lens. They used the iPhone's 5x telephoto lens.
The longer lens. Why that one?
Because it helps flatten the image, it reduces perspective distortion, keeps things looking less warped, and that was really important projecting onto a surface like the towers, which aren't perfectly flat.
Right. It helps keep the animation looking consistent across the curve or texture of the building.
Exactly. Maintain the integrity of the look.
Okay, lens choice makes sense. What else?
The control aspect was huge. They controlled the iPhones remotely using Dragon Frame.
Which is the standard software for stop motion, right?
Yeah, the industry standard. But controlling the phone remotely meant the animators could make those tiny, tiny adjustments between each frame.
Without ever touching the phone itself.
Correct. No bumping it, no vibrations. Even the slightest nudge can ruin a stop-motion sequence, as you know. So that completely touch-free, precise remote control was absolutely vital.
That level of precision, especially remotely, must have been crucial. But what about the animators?
Yeah.
You know, the people actually moving Wallace and Gromit frame by frame.
Yeah.
How do they adapt to animating for such a weirdly shaped, narrow screen?
Yeah, that was down to the masters, two animators, Chris Sadler and Lee Wilton. They didn't just move the puppets. They had to essentially design the choreography, the character movement, specifically for that tall, thin frame.
So rethinking how the characters would move in that space.
Absolutely. It wasn't just standard animation ported over. It was
Right.
custom designed for the towers.
Yeah, the patience involved. I mean, stop motion is slow anyway. Were these short sequences?
Not necessarily. The whole film was designed to flow, almost like one long, continuous shot to keep the viewer engaged.
Wow.
And apparently some scenes involved shooting continuously for over 600 frames.
600 frames.
Yeah.
Continuously.
Yeah. For stop motion, that requires just unbelievable focus and precision. It really shows how they were pushing the craft itself to fit this unique digital or projected canvas.
That is staggering. Okay, so animation's done, captured on the iPhone. Then comes post-production. Working with that massive 6K footage must have presented its own set of challenges.
Oh, definitely. That was maybe the final big hurdle. The VFX team, led by John Biggins, they did the usual stuff, you know?
Cleaning things up.
Right. Digitally painting out the metal rigs, holding the puppets up, adding effects like the snow falling, standard VFX work. But the really tough part, the ultimate test, was combining all the different pieces flawlessly.
What do you mean different pieces?
Well, sometimes, to get more detail or control, they might film, say, the top of a tree separately from the bottom of the tree.
Oh,
And then they had to stitch these separately shot elements together perfectly into that enormous 6K final file.
and at that resolution.
There was zero room for error. Absolutely none. Think about it. One misplaced pixel, one tiny seam visible in the 6K file.
Would look huge when projected 100 meters tall. You'd see it from miles away.
Exactly. The attention to detail required and the sheer computing power and time needed to render and check that final 6K output must have been immense. Days of rendering, probably.
Wow. All that precision, all that work. It must have made the final reveal, the launch night, pretty intense.
You'd imagine so. And by all accounts, it was pretty magical. The whole project was kept super secret right up until the end.
Really? No leaks?
Apparently not. They even did the first technical test really late at night, like 11 p.m., trying to avoid anyone seeing it.
Sneaky.
Yeah, but the actual launch event sounded amazing. A crowd gathered there at Battersea. They had a choir singing.
Oh, lovely.
And the whole team was there, just watching people's reactions, seeing them look up in, well, awe and surprise. Must have been quite a moment.
I bet. What a payoff for all that secrecy and incredibly detailed work. Did it just run for that one night, or did it have a longer life?
No, it definitely had a life beyond the projection night. They
Yeah.
actually exhibited the original sets, the puppets.
Oh,
And even a life-sized replica of that Decor 8000 contraption in a special space near the Apple Store right there at Battersea Power Station, so people could get up close and see the artistry.
That's great. Lets people appreciate the craft behind the spectacle.
Yeah, and it clearly had some significance. There was even a special event there attended by King Charles and Tim Cook, so it definitely made an impact beyond just being a cool projection.
Okay, so looking back at the whole thing, the idea, the tech, the craft, the reveal, what's the big takeaway here? Is it just a really, really impressive advert? Or is there something more significant going on?
I think it's definitely more than just an ad. For me, the really interesting thing isn't just that they used an iPhone, but how that choice seemed to force a whole new way of thinking about the stop-motion process itself.
How so?
Well, instead of working within traditional studio limits, they used the phone's strengths, its size, the remote control, the lens options to tackle this problem of immense physical scale. It shows how sometimes, maybe, perceived limitations can actually spark completely new creative approaches.
That's a really great point. The tech enabled, or maybe even demanded, a different kind of artistry.
Right, and we've seen how this device, the phone in your pocket, could be the tool used to turn a 101-meter historic building into this giant moving canvas.
It's incredibly inspiring, really. It shows what's possible when that traditional creativity meets the newest technology head-on.
It really does, and seeing that combination, old art form, new tech, creating something so public, so experiential, so massive, it definitely makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Wonder what?
Well, how else are physical spaces and digital tools going to merge in the future? What other surprising ways will we find to tell stories using our environment and the tech we carry around?
That is a fascinating question, something for all of you to think about.
Yeah.
What other canvases are waiting out there?
Boom, 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 boom.